Hi, this is John.
And this is Chris.
We're just two guys in their 40s trying to live life to the fullest, and what better way to help us along our path but to share our goals and ideas with a buddy.
The accountability call is our way of helping each other stay on the track and keep us moving on down the road of life. We hope you like it, and thanks for listening.
A change will do you good. A change will do you good. Hey, brother.
What's up, brother?
How are you?
It is time for a change. Maybe people will be able to see us. Maybe they won't be able to see us, but we are recording this not only via audio, but via video. And I got to say, you look marvelous.
Oh, likewise, my friend. A change would do us all good. We changed our shirt. We changed our recording process here. Yeah, exactly. I showered today. This is crazy. I did the setup. Look, there's camera, tripods, weights. This is a Ronin, which is a mobile sort of steady cam. I got stuff in the background, and this was all not staged. This was all here.
You've never used those weights in your life.
I have used them, but I don't use them often anymore because I'm always at the yoga studio. Are we talking about yoga already?
Jeez, 30 seconds. Unbelievable. We've got essential oils back here.
Oh.
My wife's essential oils. I highly recommend to everybody.
Wow.
And our diffuser right there.
Okay.
And some pictures of the family.
I like it.
Yeah, little peek into our lives, huh?
I know. Geez, I'm going to have to make sure everything's tidy next time.
Yeah, you are going to. Yeah, it's changed it up. So we've talked about, making this more of a big time production since episode 1. And here we are, episode 73 or 74. And finally,
great time.
We have video.
Yeah, great time. And this may be short-lived. Let's be honest. If we don't like it, then it's going back. But great idea. Let's try it. Hopefully the audio comes out okay. We're not sure. We're just doing these things. But you know what? If you keep doing the same thing you're comfortable with, you're not doing it right. You got to grow. And we got to change it up. We can't be comfortable. We got to be uncomfortable. So this is it so far.
We have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. My students just delivered persuasive speeches in my class, and they were freaking out about it. Emailing me, talking to me all week, like, Mr. Carlock, I'm so nervous. I don't think I can do this. But I gave them 50 extra credit points for delivering their speeches. And so at the end of class, there were some amazing speeches. And
wow.
I said, look, guys, we are all better off having listened to these speeches. We all gained value from you sharing your speech. And how do you feel now that you're done? And they were all like, oh, I feel great. What an awesome way to start the weekend. I'm so glad I did it. And it was just really cool to see them go through that nervousness and overcome that challenge. And they really grew from the experience. So
that's awesome, man. That's where it's at right there. It's a growth moment, or what is it? Something that's just, they might not ever remember, but in the grand scheme of it, it's going to impact. And I love that.
Yeah, totally. That's what we got to do, right? We can't stay in the same space. We got to push forward. I feel like we've talked about this before. I don't know. We
do kind of sound like a broken record. I was hung up on the Mr. Carlock, first of all. Secondly, I just had to rub my nose. I felt a little tickle. And I'm like, I can't do that. We're recording. It's like, mercy. And now I'm kind of like sitting down in my seat. So I've got the computer with the camera on top. And you've got the computer with the camera where it's a little lower. So now we're shooting up. You look very dynamic, and I look like I'm small and little.
No, it's like in movies, they have the bad guy, the camera facing down, and the good guy, the camera facing up. So you're the bad guy, and I'm the bad guy. The camera's facing up.
Yes, you're evil.
Imposing, right? And you're the good guy. You look more meek and
for now. And then at the end, then it's reversed. I told you I worked on some stuff with Entertainment Tonight, and they had a stick that they kept on Sylvester Stallone movies, and the camera couldn't be any higher than this stick. If it was higher than that, it made him look short because you were shooting either at his level or down at him and making him look short. So you always had the stick that they put on the camera, and they measured it, and that's where you had to have the camera at, so it would look like it was shooting up at Sly Stallone. He was more dynamic, like you right now, buddy.
Very dynamic. Yeah, that's crazy. Tricks they do. Tom Cruise is really short as well, right? A lot of leading men, very short. If we bumped into them into the street, we'd be like, "Oh, you're just a little guy, man. You look so big on the screen."
I thought when I saw Steven Tyler, the Aerosmith lead singer, in person, I thought it was a joke. I'm like, oh my gosh, is he sitting down? That's how small that guy is. But he's on stage. He just carries himself. And nobody knows how big he is on stage, right? You can't tell, but he's like a little guy, like 5'6" or something. It's crazy.
Dream on, dream on, dream until your dreams come true.
Should have went with dude looks like a lady with that long hair. Dude looks like a lady.
It was, it's funny, crazy hair day at my kid's school. So I did not cut my hair. My son and I are actually going to get haircuts after school today. But I just said, you know what? I'm going to let my hair stand straight up. And but then we made a joint decision for me to put a hat on for this podcast because it's distracting to our viewers if I had my mop showing.
And then you just blew it there. So
yeah. Hey, we show behind the curtain on the Accountability
Should
podcast.
we start recording again? You want to start again?
Hey, I shared with you a really cool article a while back where shared with you a really cool article a while back that it's from Lifehacker, and we've talked about similar things like this before, but the title of this is "The Biggest Wastes of Time We Regret When We Get Older." And there were some really sort of thought-provoking entries in here. Biggest wastes of time we regret when we get older. So the premise of this is that the author of this article kind of talked to some people that were, 50s, 60s and beyond, and just asked, like, look, what's some advice that you can give in terms of, last episode you talked about we have 1,440 minutes every single day. How many of those minutes are we wasting doing things that aren't moving us forward, that, if anything, might even be holding us back from moving forward? And so who better than people that have experienced more, that have been around the block a little bit more, to share with us some tips that they've learned as they get older in life and start to realize, hey, I'm spending way too much time on things that aren't important. So this one kind of spoke to us in a lot of ways. Anything to add to that?
No, yeah, I agree. It's kind of fun to look back. We've all have a little bit of something that we wish we would have done better. And of course, mistakes make us smarter because we're going to learn from them, hopefully, and not repeat them, but take that knowledge into our next sort of situation. The first one on the list, I think, was, not asking for help. And that one I thought was a great, how often have you just failed to ask anybody for help, or you feel like it's going to make you look weak or not knowledgeable or whatever to ask for help? And he gave a great example of when he started a job and failed to ask for help immediately, and then actually wasted time because he was trying to figure it out when he could have just asked somebody to help. But again, when you first start a job, they hired me. I must know all the answers. I can't be looking like I don't have the answers. And so I thought that was a great point, that he didn't ask for help immediately. And then a coworker actually told him, hey, it's actually, you look worse when you don't ask for help and you're sitting there struggling, and you look kind of stupid because you're, wasting everyone's time and you didn't get the work done. And so how often have we done that? And men sometimes are criticized as the gender who doesn't ask for directions, a little different nowadays with our smartphone, but they're like, just pull over and get directions. I'll figure it out. I got it. It's sort of a little challenge for us to figure it out, but what are we doing? Just someone might be able to help you quicker and we can move on. One other thing I took away from just that making the ask for help was that if you do have all the answers and you don't ever need to ask for help because you have it all figured out, maybe you're not challenging yourself enough. How about that? And it's like a great way to look at it. If you're not asking for help, you're probably not doing enough that's challenging you, and you're not getting uncomfortable enough because we're doing what we already know. And I thought that's a good way to look at it. Like, hey, I should struggle on a daily basis. If I don't, maybe I'm just too comfortable.
Yeah, because who's to say there's not a better way to do it out there? But if you are stuck in the way that you do it, then you're preventing yourself from, hearing other ideas. And yeah, I also think in terms of, things that we try to create, like this podcast, like this video part, we haven't asked for a lot of help. We figured it all out on our own, but it probably would have been more efficient if we just said, all right, you know what, I'm going to pay $25. I'm going to pay $100 to have somebody create this for me. But probably some of it has to do with the fact that we have that male gene that's like, no, I can figure it out. Part of it is because we have that cheap gene, like, nope, I'm not going to spend money for this. But maybe we would have been further ahead in certain creative endeavors had we said, you know what, this is above my pay grade. Yes, I can figure it out, but I'm probably going to be further ahead if I ask somebody for help right now. So it's a good reminder for us, like, dude, it's okay to admit that you can't do everything, and it's okay not to figure everything out. Also, there are experts in so many fields. Take advantage of their expertise.
That's it. He put a great thing out. When you ask for advice from somebody, take 2 or 3 sentences just of honest appreciation. And you can ask somebody, a mentor or something, and say, okay, there's a reason that you're asking them for the help. They have experience in that field. They know what they're doing. And then when you finally get through that first sort of initial, hey, ask, the question you want to do is just ask one sentence that says, a single focused question that they can answer. So you're not like beating around the bush. Just get to it. Say, hey, you're good at this. I'm not experienced. I really want your help. How do I go about doing this? And I think people love talking about what they know. If you ask me something about,
anything,
I'll tell you. But what is, that's a good one. You son of a gun. But we do talk about what we know, and we'll hand that advice out for free a lot of times because we're happy to, didn't cost me anything, just a little time. I'd love to share with you that. But it's one of those things where you could go up and you could probably talk about your teaching without any prepared notes. If somebody said, can you give me 3 minutes on what you do? Yes, because I know what I do. But could I give you 3 minutes on what, the neighbor does? I don't actually know what they do. I know he's in realty, so I would just kind of I don't know what his day is, but it's one of those things where you just like, how can I get some information? How can I not be timid about asking for help? And that's a great lesson.
Yeah, I like it. All good points. Second one, we waste a lot of time. Biggest waste of times we regret when we get older, trying to make a bad relationship work or trying to make bad relationships work. And I think we're both guilty of this. I know I am for certain. I think most of our listeners can point to a relationship or two. And it's not just a romantic relationship, right? It is a friendship. Unfortunately, sometimes it's a family member that we spend a lot of investment of time and energy into thinking like, man, you know what? I can fix this. I can make this work. It's family, or I've been friends with this person since I was 5 years old, or man, this person and I are engaged. We love each other. We can make this work. Sometimes as much as it hurts in the moment, you just kind of got to rip the Band-Aid off and cut yourself free of the situation, and you'll thank yourself later.
Free, set them free, set them free. Yeah, and particularly with relationships. I mean, everybody has gone through something, or somebody they're just holding on, and they're probably the last one to notice it. I mean, it's so funny how friends are like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it took you that long to break up with that. And I so wanted to tell you to break up with that person, but you're blinded. You want to make it work out. A lot of times we don't want to be lonely. It's human nature. We want to have that last call of the night. Who's your last call of the night? We all want to be loved, and I'm not kidding when I say just yesterday thinking about how fortunate it is, many of us, to have someone that loves us. And aside from your mom, all right, I mean, someone that, loves you. And when you don't have someone who loves you, how sad that can be as you think about others or people out there that are really lonely. And so I'm like, gosh, I just want everybody to have someone that loves them and have someone to love. And it's not always the case. And I think some people hold on too long to some of that. And, and you mentioned family members and friends and some other things. Sometimes if people aren't lifting you up and you're not getting much, it's a one-way sort of street. that's tough to keep stomaching and putting up with. So that's a good one. Definitely clean up your relationships, maybe unpack your bags on that one and repack the ones that are helping you and serving you and that you thrive with.
I shared your metaphor, the unpacking the bag and repacking it with my coaching fellows, and they're like, "Ooh, that's a good one. I really like that one. I'm going to use that in a session." So
Ooh,
props to you for
royalties.
Yes, with a good metaphor. And one more thing on the relationships, I think that a lot of it is confidence, right? Like we lack confidence. We think like, oh man, there's nobody out there that's going to put up with me like this. There's nobody else out there that I can find.
Right.
And that's unfortunate. And we all go through that. We all have gone through that. And
yep.
That comes with hopefully working on ourselves a little bit and knowing ourselves and knowing what serves us well and what doesn't serve us well, not just things, but people also.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. How about the next one? Dwelling on your mistakes and shortcomings. I mean, having a pity party and comparing yourself to others and this kind of stuff. I mean, are you kidding me? Dwelling on your mistakes. That's probably, I'm sure that eats every person up at some point in time. But I've done a really good job of just getting over that. I just go, listen, my bad. I got to move on. I got to do better than that. I got to be better. And so I've tried to just say, listen, I'm not going to be perfect on stuff, even though I think I'm perfect, as you know, but I don't beat myself up over that because usually I've made a decent decision. That's why I went that route. It may not have panned out, but at least with the information I had, boom. The shortcomings bit is just like, I think you're just down on yourself. When you get down on your abilities or you start to get a little insecure, if you keep rolling around in that, you're never going to get anywhere. So I don't know how to snap out of that for everybody, but I've been accused of being a little overconfident at times. So I'll take that any day.
Yeah. In grad school, one of my teachers said, you're not going to get jobs. You're going to be turned down for things, and you should have a woe is me Olympics for a couple minutes. A couple minutes, maybe even it's a really hard thing one day, but man, the Olympics end and it's time for you to get over it and get back in the game. So I think there is some value sometimes to just kind of take a step back and say, crap, man, that hurts, man. That was not how I wanted that to go. That can be helpful in sort of dealing with the emotion rather than just, hiding it. But anything more than that, and it can be debilitating after a while, right?
Yeah, just recently, can we bring up, you went through an interview process, and you didn't feel like you nailed the interview, first of all, and you'd been talking to them, certainly qualified to do the work, but they decided to go a different route. And I remember you thinking, hey, I didn't think I did that great, and now it sort of stings, but by the same token, it's sort of meant to be. Sometimes it wasn't a good fit anyway for you, and that's a nice way to just kind of go, well, okay, I tried. But you know what? There'll be other opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, how many times, and this was just one of many examples, how many times do you find disappointment in not getting something or whatever, and then you look back a year later or 2 or 5 years later, and you're like, man, I'm so glad that it didn't turn out that way because I'm really happy with where I am right now. And the more I think about, I was definitely disappointed. It was like a sting. It was like a punch to the gut. Like, oh man, because it's that whole confidence thing that messes with you, right? Like, all right, I'm not good enough. You have that feeling for a moment, but then after my woe is me Olympics of, an hour at the most, it was like, all right, obviously I wasn't what they were looking for. It wasn't because I'm not good enough. And to be honest, it forced me to think about everything going on in life. And the reality was that I would be making some changes that maybe weren't great for the path that I'm on. So yeah, it's okay to hurt, but so
You still there?
Yeah. Are you still there? I think I got
your thing hung up.
it paused. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm good now though. Go.
All right. I missed that last bit.
It was profound. I just said, that we can always look back and see the positives. Sometimes it's hard to see the positives in the moment, but we always look back and say, all right, man, there's definitely some positives in that. It forced me to look at the whole picture and kind of reevaluate things and make sure that I'm on the right path. So
yeah, no, that's true. Next one there, Chris, worrying too much about other people. I think that plays a little bit into that same one where we worry about, other people. We compare ourselves to the Joneses across the street, making sure they've got, we're doing this, or our kid's not maybe moving fast enough and isn't in the honors program, or isn't playing the ukulele and the piano and doing ballet. Who knows? You can't do it. You'll never win that way if you keep comparing yourself to that and others. You'll never get ahead. You're meant to be who you are. You were born your own way and your own style. Just do what you do and don't worry about others, because if you do get caught up in that game, and you see it at work. I mean, I used to see it all the time. Well, how come he gets that better office? Or how come he got the newer computer and I don't have that? Or how come he got better tickets than I got to this event, or whatever? You just want to go, stop. You have to stop with that, because you'll just never get ahead. You're not in control of everything. So what are you in control of? And an old baker, coworker of mine at the bakery said, John, you can't control what you can't control. And I'm like, what is he talking about? What does that mean? You can't control what you can't control. And then it took me a while to sink in. It's like, some things you can't control. So why are you trying to worry about it? Because you won't be able to change anything. So stop it, get over it. Stop worrying about other people. Do what you do and do it the best way you know how. And everything works out.
And it's such a simple statement, right? You can't control what you can't control. And it doesn't make sense until you take a step back and think about it. And it makes perfect sense. And one of my students just gave a speech on dancing. And it was really cool because she talked about how most of us don't dance because we're concerned how we look. We're concerned what people think, right? I was definitely guilty of that when I was, a teenager in high school and whatnot. And my son, Cameron, who's 8 years old, definitely has some hangups. He's concerned what people think, and we're trying to get him to put himself out there. And so long as we're worried about what other people think, we're preventing ourselves from moving forward. And, especially with dancing or with like giving a speech or anything like that, people are so caught up in what they look like, and they're having these same thoughts of like, I wonder what people are thinking right now, that they don't have time to devote thought to what you look like. So we put ourselves through the ringer thinking like, oh my gosh, is everybody staring at me? No, everyone's dealing with their own crap. Don't think of yourself as so important that the whole world is looking at you, judging what you're doing. They're in their own heads. We need to stop doing this.
How do we get that out to people? How do we do it? Especially the kids and people like, I can't go to the gym. I don't look good. I'm just like, are you kidding me? So you're going to shower and put makeup on before you go to the workout? What? I don't actually care what anybody looks like at the gym. I don't, it's like, what are we thinking about here? I don't know what it is. Is it something that we created as a society that we're so worried about what other people think of us? How about you just worry about you, do the best of you, and they'll do the best of them, and everything's good. It's just not, but we do it. We can't worry about what other people think about. I mean, honestly, if you're doing something and you're creating, chaos in other people's lives, you're definitely going to worry about that. But nobody wants to do that, right? Nobody wants to bring that sort of attention to themselves. Not willingly, I don't think. I mean, obviously, if you're having some issues, but let's just get over that.
Get over it. As the
Get over it.
On their one of their later albums. Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
It's obviously it's easier said than done, and I think it is kind of it's something that's ingrained in us.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's more of an American thing than other countries. Maybe it, as you're younger, it's something harder to overcome, and when you get older, you just don't care as much anymore. I don't know. But man, I tell my students that all the time, and I try to tell my kids that all the time. Like, the sooner you realize that nobody really cares. And here's the other thing. If somebody does care, and if somebody is like judging you, then you don't really want to be hanging out with that person anyway. You don't really care what that person has to say, because they're the type of person that is focusing on a lot of negative things, and you don't really want that type of energy in your life. So the people that love you, the people that you're friends with, 99 times out of 100, they're going to be supportive of whatever it is you're doing, however you look. And the one time out of 100, they're going to make fun of you for it. And, you're just
I'm the one, by the way.
You're the one by far. But
I will find that thing to make fun of you about.
We devote a lot of time caring what other people think. And how do we get that message out there? Because man, the sooner people can learn it, the better off they'll be. So that was the last on our list of this article. But those are all pretty profound, pretty commonsensical things. But I think we all struggle in some ways with each one of those, right?
We do, and it's just good to have that on top of mind to take a look, and maybe revisit those. I think it'd be great if you posted that article as well, so people can just scan through it, because the author has some nice points there. And let's just look at some of those things so we don't have the regrets, and years go by and go, gosh, why didn't I dance? Why didn't I worry so much about people thought about my hair? And I wouldn't go to events because if I didn't look perfect, or if I didn't have the best, of everything, don't get caught up in that, because you'll never win. You'll just constantly just beat yourself up. And we need to kind of just make sure that we're aware of it so we can avoid it.
Awareness first, and then dealing with it. Yeah, I agree with you. Hey, that's a good place probably to wrap this up. Our first video podcast.
Nice work.
Curious how it all turns out. And
quality wise, see if people were engaged or not, see if we need to do something different. So we're ready for feedback out there. This is our first go at it. We're breaking new ground here. So any feedback is appreciated. And maybe, I shouldn't have worn such a dark shirt. You can't see me. I mean, things I'm already looking at for improvement, because that's what we're here to do, is build upon where we start.
John, you care so much about what other people think. You look fabulous. All right.
I care about you. I miss you.
I will see you soon. All right, brother. Good talk. Good talk. We'll do it again next week.
See you, everybody.